I am making cereal bars. So there's the classic, marshmallow rice cereal bars. But then there were the cereal bars that kind of mimicked milk and cereal, but on the go. This is kind of a do-it-yourself version of that. So I need 2 egg whites. We want soft peaks on these egg whites, so we're just gonna let this thing run. Of course, you can do this with a hand mixer or even with a whisk. Get some volume out of these 2 egg whites. Just let this go for a few minutes. This is a little bit different from your traditional cereal bars where you use marshmallows to combine. We're gonna use a technique that uses egg whites to bind our cereal together. They're starting to get foamy, starting to get more volume. Ooh, nice and fluffy. This is exactly the texture we're looking for. Just nice, pale egg whites, nice and fluffy. And I'm just gonna add just a tiny bit of honey. You can skip this step. It's just to give the egg whites a little bit of flavor and sweetness. If your honey is a little firm, a little older, you wanna heat it up a little bit, let it cool off. You want it to be liquidy. I'm using my largest mixing bowl that I can find because we need a lot of space. Now these cereal bars, the ones you can find in the grocery store, come in a variety of different cereals. I'm using some Fruit Loops. You can use Cheerios. You can use any cereal you want to. I like a cereal, something like a Loop, like Cheerio, Fruit Loop. Flake cereals might break up a little bit, but you can try that too. Then all of our egg whites go in. Make sure to get them all because we're gonna need all the binding power we can muster. Who says muster anymore? Sometimes I come up with the weirdest vocab. We'll just roll with it. Be confident in it. Just like Moira Rose, we wanna fold it in. Fold it in. You don't wanna lose too much volume out of those egg whites and you wanna get everything coated. I'm just using your standard small box of cereal. You can make a smaller portion of this, use half a box of cereal. Use some leftover cereal, combine cereals. Looks like everything's evenly coated and combined together. No big clusters. I don't see any more of the egg white. We can transfer this to our baking dish. This is gonna go into a baking dish. This is about 9 by 13. Get it all in there. I lined it with some parchment paper. Everybody in. No one left behind. I love that steel drum noise that I'll have a musical interlude after this. So you need 1 even layers. Just get these evenly spread out. Now this egg white technique is used when you're making granola bars or granola. Use egg whites to help bind everything together, make those clusters or make the bars. So this is the same thing, but instead of oats and nuts, we're using traditional breakfast cereal. So get everything compact in there. Try not to crush things, but you want 1 flat, even layer where everything's touching and connected. One thing you can do, you can use the back of a spatula or get in there with your hands and press everything together down to the edges. Get any air pockets or uneven mounds of cereal flat and pressed in into all the corners and sides. This is what's really gonna help fuse everything together. There's different variations of cereal bars that use peanut butter, honey, marshmallows to bind everything together. I like this egg white technique because you're just getting the cereal. You're not adding a whole bunch of extra sugar. You're not changing the flavor with peanut butter. If you're a peanut butter fan, use that technique. That's great. It'd be great on Cheerios or other cereals that combine well with peanut butter. Since this is a fruity version, we're going with the egg whites. That looks good. A couple tips, if you want thicker bars, do a square pan and make them a little taller. Just make sure everything's compact and squeezed together so that everything sticks really well. You can even add an extra egg white to help everything stick together better. We're gonna put this in the oven. Doesn't really need to cook. We just wanna set those egg whites so everything sticks together. The store-bought cereal bars have like a milky glaze on them. It's like kind of dipped in a milk substance. So we're just gonna make a white chocolate glaze to put on them. We're gonna use some white chocolate. I'm just gonna add a little bit of coconut oil in there just to thin it out, and then when it gets cold, it'll re-solidify. Gonna put this in the microwave. 20-second burst to melt chocolate, or white chocolate in our case. Oh, starting to melt. Gonna do another 20 seconds. That should be just about good. The residual heat of the bowl should keep things nice and warm and melted. This is looking great, nice and runny. I'm gonna line some parchment on a tray. Cutter is broken on this thing, so I gotta use scissors. One other thing I'm gonna add, just to add that milk flavor into our cereal bars, is a little bit of milk powder. So powdered milk, we don't want the liquid. Powdered milk is gonna give us some milk flavor in our coating. It's gonna be sweet. You can add some vanilla in here too, but this is perfect. Just make sure there's no lumps. Get that combined. I'm gonna give this a taste. Definitely has a very milky flavor to it. That's awesome. Now I made a batch ahead. This is after it's been baked and cooled. Sometimes help to keep this in the refrigerator. So I'm gonna carefully remove this from the parchment. Maybe upside down is the technique. Peel it away. This is why we can press. We have some loose cereal, but it's quite all right. Now I'm gonna cut these into bars. I guess Lucky Charms have marshmallows in them, so that's helping everything stick together. Just be very careful. You don't want to break these apart. They are a little fragile. That's why we're using this white chocolate to help hold everything together. I am making some gnarly rectangles here, but you get the idea. But you see how those egg whites help hold everything together? Give this a good stir. We'll take one of our bars, dip the bottom in. You might get a little on your fingers. And then right onto a tray to solidify. These are really firm right out of the refrigerator, so it's a really good idea to keep them cold. You can cut these a little smaller too if you want a smaller bar. Let the excess drip off. There we go. Now there are some cereal bars that have a drizzle on it. Let's just see if we can do it. Little drizzle on top. If you're doing this and your chocolate just is a little too firm, you can just throw it back in the microwave for 5-10 seconds just to get it gooey again. Oh, I love the drizzle on top. I think it adds a nice touch. I'm gonna put these in the refrigerator to set up. We have cereal bars. About 15 minutes and this should be good to go. Let this cool for a bit to room temperature and then you can throw it in the refrigerator to finish setting up. Here are our cereal bars. They've got the coating on the bottom, just like the packaged snack. A cereal treat and a fun project you can make at home.